I'm also an optimist, but before I want to share my optimistic hopes with you, I want to tell you actually um, a little bit the story of my researcher and activist life of the last 25 years working on ethical AI and system design. And that is the motivation for me to express a very bold wish, which is for the Pope to develop something like the 10 commandments for the digital world. But to motivate this, please let me share a little bit of my history. So I started my own journey 25 years ago at Humboldt University in Berlin when I did my PhD as a behavioral economist and business informatics student on software agents, like literally the kind of character AI systems that we have today, only a little bit less technically sophisticated than they are today. And I discovered what is now called the privacy paradox. So people will be telling you when you ask them on the street, how important is privacy to you or control over data? Well, they say that it's extremely important to me. But once they start chatting with those AI systems, they literally share like everything with these systems. And that discovery motivated me to say, well, actually, we in computer science and business informatics, we need to design, by design, those systems in a way that they are actually secure, trustworthy, risk-based, privacy by design, you name it, participatory design, ethics of care. These are all the keywords. And there is a huge research community around the world that has engaged for about 25 years, hundreds of PhD students, to develop, really, I must say, incredibly well methods and ways to address ethics in design. But all of this, or largely all of this, has been completely ignored by the IT industry. And simply because ethical designs do not cater to the business models that have emerged over the last 25 years. Unfortunately, all of that knowledge is not even taught in computer science courses or at universities around the world. So that is a very sad thing. But then came the economic crisis, 2009, and then emerged a new hope, which is regulatory power. Yeah? So in 2016, the European Commission, as you know, published the European Data Protection Regulation. And after that, and now in these days, you have ever more laws: Data Service Act, Data Market Act, Cybersecurity Act, recently the AI Act. But even though these overwhelming pieces of legislation are certainly important, we struggle with the relevant tech monopolies, not respecting them as soon as it hurts their business model. So for example, we have this Austrian activist who sues the big company, Max Schrems. He currently has over 400, I tried to find the number, over 400 legal cases against the big tech. 60% of them are not dealt by the authority. The authority simply can't enforce the law that they put out there. Gabriele Mazzini, who was actually the main author on the AI Act, quitted his job, I think a few weeks ago, speaking in public that he cannot reconcile his conscience with his law. Even though I heard a commissioner speaking saying that into the industry, 85% of the AI applications are not dealt with law anyways, which I, as a consumer, didn't really like. So taken together, I share Professor Mireille Hildebrand's conclusion. She's a legal scholar. Smart technologies, especially AI, confront us with the ends of law. Okay, so I literally, I felt that way around 2015, but then a new hope appeared on my radar. And that was IEEE's Global Initiative on Ethics of Autonomous and Intelligent Systems. Perhaps for some of you who don't know IEEE, it has 480,000 members, engineers, computer scientists building systems. And they said 1,000 of them also reaching out to other disciplines, joined forces. And I was very lucky. I chaired their main flagship standard 7000 on, it's called ethical system design, yeah, the first model process on ethical system design. And 6 years I endured this incredible standardization work. And I must say, yes, similar to a lot of presentations here today, we can build really ethical machines. We can do that, or at least very good machines. Yeah? But unfortunately, again, when this ISO standard came out, 2021, 22, industry is not adopting it. So I learned also standardization is a lion without teeth because the available ethical standards are not mandatory today, and therefore very few organizations use them. The only commitment made to AI ethics are the global political and tech organizations, United Nations, OECD, and many, many others who have published principles of AI. They have done that, but since now GPT came along and it's really hard to be transparent, the world has kind of fallen silent about it because they can't deliver. So to be clear, algor ethics, as it was in our briefing, or governance frameworks for ethical AI are actually available and here and now at their very best, but industry ignores 99% of this work. Does not use standards, does not live up to its own ethical AI principles. And if an organization does so, then another terrible thing happens, which is everyone I ever meet in a company doing ethics by design or something or consulting them is reinventing the ethical wheel. And you have so many lay consultants who simplistically apply abstract rules of ethics like utilitarianism or duty ethics without any cultural memory. And what is worse, and this is really worse, most digital ethicists tend to never adopt another digital ethicist work. This is because everybody in the scene wants to invent for themselves and on their little own turf the overall world-saving ethics approach. And I must say, probably I'm just one of them. Huh? So, but this really happens. So to some extent, it's a form of moral hubris or lack of humility that the internet itself has created. Everybody wants to do the world-saving ethics standards themselves. So for all these reasons, I put hope on Pope Leo, who is one of the few men on earth who still has a moral authority that is widely listened to. I believe that the wisdom of the biblical scriptures on what is good and evil can be put to force to sort the wheat from the chaff in our everyday doings as engineers, designers, and users. If it's not him, who is it going to say, they're not going to take my standard, perhaps not yours. But if Leo put out something, that's a different story. Yeah? But then a major challenge arises. This guidance, and I'm here speaking clearly not about another encyclical. I'm speaking about 10 commandments that every person, even if it just was Christians or Quran people who can relate to that as well, or Jews, it's just 2 or 3 billion people on earth, could relate to these 10 commandments. They must be easy, short, memorizable, easy to read, to understand, and so on, just like the 10 commandments. Now, you might say, this is impossible. Also, you like the idea, perhaps, and you agree to the general call, but the challenge is just not doable to agree on something like that. Yeah. Well, the question is, of course, does a pope, he has to agree with God, perhaps. Yeah? I don't know. That may be very naive. I now need the beeper. Where is it? Yeah, wonderful. So I just want to say something. We built the Future Foundation in the German-speaking world, and we did something bold, but I just want to show you it's doable. It's doable to come up with something like 10 commandments. We didn't come up with 10 commandments, but what we did is we came up with 10 rules. We, who is we? We were 16 scholars from 13 different disciplines, all of them well-known scientists, politicians, authors, and so like here in the room. And we mapped the digital world problems, and we were drowned in chaos of things going wrong, and we mapped them to the 10 commandments, to the biblical 10 commandments as an exercise of structure. And we came up with 10 rules. And I just want to share them with you so that you get an idea about the direction that I'm thinking of. So the first commandment reads that you shall not have other gods before me. And we, the Future Foundation, thought, do not elevate digital technology to an end in itself. Second, you shall not misuse the name of God. Well, if GPT thinks, it says it thinks, it doesn't think. It's processing data. So we, the Future Foundation, said do not wrongfully attribute humanity to machines. Certainly not in the way you portray and market them and have them speak about themselves, emotions, memories, and all of that stuff, which is simply betraying. It's a misuse of the name of the human person, and it's doing. Third commandment, you shall keep the Lord's day holy, or this is a Sabbath commandment actually. Well, do not create space for downtime and analog encounters. It was a technical decision to configure our networks for real-time delivery of messages. That's a technical decision. It's a mail server configuration of the way the networks work. Fourth commandment, you shall honor your father and mother. This is about recognition of natural binding and appreciation of relationships. So we said honor social and democratic capabilities in families, for example, to be able to speak. Fifth one, you shall not call. Well, do not destroy nature for technical progress. We do destroy nature for technical progress. Do you actually know the Nature paper that shows last year that 40% of our CO2 budget as a person goes to IT? If you barely look at the whole supply chain, no? Not just energy and cloud center. Sixth one, you shall not commit adultery. So this is about trust in other people and relationships. So the Future Foundation says, do not treat people as mere data objects, just the people, not the data. Seventh one, you shall not steal. So for example, the Future Foundation says, do not deprive yourself and others of their true human potential. Do not take away, steal away from people their creativity in drafting poems and making medical decisions. Eighth one, you shall not bear false witness against the neighbor, as this is commandment against false testimony. Very important. Do not deny the limits of technology. A recent study by Carnegie Mellon showed last year that we have 6,000 mistakes in software in 1 million line of code. SAP has 400 million lines of code. Please calculate the number of errors in that system. Do not deny the limits of technology. You really think that AI is different? I don't think so. The ninth one, this is about you shall not covet your neighbor's wife as a personal prohibition of your emotional desires of something. Well, do not undermine the freedom of others by technical means. And the last one is you shall not covet your neighbor's goods, as is a prohibition of material desires. And here, this desire to common goods of others and common property, the Future Foundation found prevent the concentration of power and ensure participation. Thank you very much.